Hey everyone, welcome back to Driple Studios. In today's Roblox scripting tutorial, we're going to create an advanced quest system for your Roblox game. This will allow players to complete 3 quests per day with new quests each day, and they will be rewarded for each quest they complete. Let's get started. First, let's design some UI. So this is the laborious part of the process. Let's just get straight into it. Let's add a screen GUI to start a GUI. I'll just rename this and I'll call it Quest GUI. And in here, I'm going to add in a text button, and I'll rename this, and this will be our open button. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is set the anchor point to 0.5, just so we properly scale it on all screen sizes. I'm now going to change the color. I'm not going to show you too much how to customize this. I'm just going to show you what we need. Most of the customization I will skip through, just because I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'll get back to you once I've designed my quest button. Here we go. So I quite like this. So here's what I've done. Just set the anchor point to 0.5. This is just so it can scale properly. I've set the position just to the side here and changed the size all to scale. As you can see, there's no offset on the size. I've made it all scale, which are these first numbers in the pairs here. I've just changed the text, changed the font, made it white. That's all I've done there. I've also, if we open this up, added a UI aspect ratio constraint. So this just helps it scale a little bit on different devices. You don't need to add this. This is just for my design. Obviously, do this how you would like. I've added a UI corner, just 0.2 radius, and I've added a stroke to the text and a stroke to the outside. Now I need to add in a frame. This frame is going to be our background, so let me rename this to background, and this will be the main quest panel. So again, I'll just design this. There's a few more things we'll have to do, but I'll design the main frame and get back to you as soon as it's done. Here we go, so this looks quite nice. So what I've done with my background frame, again, anchor point 0.5, just change the color. I've put it in the middle and made the size all scaling. I've added a UI aspect ratio constraint again, a UI corner, just to curve it up a little bit, and a UI stroke to give it this little outline here. Now let's add a button to close it. So I think top right, I'll just add a little red X button, and this will just close the panel. So I'll add in a text button again. I'll rename this to close button. And I'll quickly design this and get back to you again. Here we go. So this looks quite nice. All I've done, if we click on this, again, change the color. The size, I've made it so it scales here. I've not changed the anchor point actually. Let me do that quickly. 0.5, and I'll just resize it. Made the size all scale, not offset. Changed the font and just made the text an X and made it white. If I open it up, again, I've added a UI corner for the rounding and a UI stroke. Not to the X this time, but just to the border. So I've added a text label, just named it header. It just says quests, 0.5 anchor point again. And that's about it, really. All my UI elements are going to have a 0.5 anchor point. Just for design, I'm going to add a little divider here. So I'll add in a frame, rename it to divide. And I'll just span this across here. There we go, so that looks all right. So what I've done is just sized it with the scale, not the offset, changed the color to make it slightly darker blue, and obviously set my anchor points as well. And inside of it, I've just got a UI corner to make it a bit more rounded. It's a nice little division there. So inside our actual panel, we're going to want 3 quests, because I'm going to fit 3 quests in here. So I'm going to have 3 quest templates ready to put quests onto, and then behind that, so behind the quest templates, I want to have just a screen, a panel, or a frame that says that that quest has been completed. So to do this, let's just add a folder into our background, and I'll rename this to quests. I'm just going to close up my divide and close button just to save a bit of the clutter in here. And in here, I'm going to add in a new frame. I'll rename this frame, and we'll start with the quest area. And so I need this quest area to cover the whole area where we want quests. This is really just for organization more than anything. So best way of doing this, we'll leave the background transparency at 0. And I've already done this before, so let me change my anchor points again. 0.5. My size, obviously I want to be scaled. 0.990, 0.7250. This will cover up most of the area, if not all of it. So it needs to go this way a little bit more. There we go. And I just want to size this. So I just make this perfect. And this will be the area where we're going to have our quests. And I'll make the background transparency 1 because we don't want to see it. Now in here, we need to make 3 quests. So I'll add a new frame and I'll rename this to Quest A. You cannot call this Quest 1 or Quest 2 or Quest 3. It has to be A, B, C. We're going to have to go with an alphabetical naming pattern. and you'll see why later in the code, but basically we're going to organize these quests by alphabetical order. I'll quickly design this first one, just copying it off of another project that I've made. 096206 for the color, 0.5 for the anchor point, 0.50, 0.1370 for the position, 0.953, 0.2680 for the size. I'll add a UI corner and set the corner radius to 0.20. I'll add a text label and I'll rename this to title. I'll set the background transparency to 1. I'm going to set the anchor point to, again, 0.5, the position to 0.3920, 0.1960, the size to 0.749, 0.3180. Change the color to be white, and I'll change the font to Ridoka 1. I'll scale this text, and I'll just change the text to, say, title of quest, just so we know what this text does. I'll also change the text X alignment to the left, so it starts from the left. Now I'll duplicate this title, rename it to description. I'll change the position, I'll leave the X scale alone, but I'll change the Y scale from 0.196 to 0.523. I'll then make the text say description of quest, and I'll just make the text color a little bit more grey. Now we are going to need a progress bar, so I'm going to add a folder into this quest A and rename this to progress bar. And I'm going to add in a frame in here. We'll be adding more to this folder later on, but for now I'll just name it progress bar and add a frame. I'll rename the frame to backgrounds, to which I'm going to change the color to a darker blue. Again, make the anchor point 0.5, change the position. I'm going to go for 0.498, 0.7970. Change the size to 0.947, 0.2370. I'll add a UI corner and make the corner radius 10. And we can sort of see how this resembles a progress bar now. Now what I'll do is I'll just duplicate the background, place it inside of itself and rename it to progress. And this will be the actual bar. So I'll change the color to a green color. So 0206 130. That's a fairly nice color. I will make the size 1010. And I'll make the position 0.50. There we go. Now you can see how that resembles a progress bar. The next thing I'll do is to our background again, add a text label, and this will just say our progress. So I'll make the background transparency 1. Again, 0.5 on the anchor point. The position, I'll go for 0.50, 0.50. The size, I'll go for 1010. Just changing the font back to Ridoka 1. I'm going to make the text color dark blue, just to sort of contrast with the green. Just make this say 0 out of 100 for now. We will be changing this in script anyway. So now you can see how our quest is looking. There's one last thing I'm going to do, which is back inside of quest A. Let me close this progress bar folder up. I just want to add a text button. I'll rename this to claim button. Again, changing the anchor point 0.5, making it a blue color. I'm going to put it at position 0.8810, 0.3490. And just make the size 0.180, 0.4670. And it's quite a small one, but that's all we need it to be. Just change the text to Ridoka 1. I'll make the text say claim. And I'll change the color to be white. So now we've got a design of a quest. Now we just need to duplicate this quest A 2 more times. We need a quest B and a quest C, and we'll just have to position them. I'll get back to you once I've done that. There we go. So I've just made them look a bit nicer, laid them out evenly, and now I'll duplicate the quest area and rename this to hidden quests. And this one's going to be pretty simple. So inside of quest A, I'm going to delete the progress bar, the claim button, and the title. I'm just going to make the size of the description 1010 and set the position 0.50, 0.50, just so it's centered. And I'll just make this say complete. There we go. So that is quite large. So all I'm going to do is add in a UI text constraint, a size constraint in here, and I'll just change the maximum size. I'll probably make the maximum size 35. Click on the description, change the text Y alignment to center, And now we've got a complete text. And I will just duplicate this description and put it into quest B and quest C, deleting the original ones. And because this is in our hidden area, we also need to delete the progress bar, the claim button, and the title in each of these. Like so. So this is now our hidden quests. And these are unfortunately appearing above our other quests. Easy fix, if we click on hidden quests, just make the Z index 0. So now they'll be behind. So now if we hide the quest area, we'll see the hidden quests. Now the last thing I'm going to do in terms of designing GUI is just inside of our background, I'm going to add in a text label. I will rename this and I will call it new quests text. Actually, I'll drag this into the quests folder because it is quests related. I'll make the background transparency 1, again 0.5, 0.5 on the anchor point. I'm going to go for a size of 0.0770 and a position of 0.50, 0.9610. And this will just put it at the bottom here. I'll just make the font Fredoka 1. This will say new quests in. And then I'm going to do new quests every day, so I'll just say 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Change the text color to be white, and scale it up. And then I'll add in a text size constraint, UI text size constraint, and I'll make the max size maybe 23. There we go. Okay, now let's actually program some of the GUI. So we want the open button, this little quest button here, and the close button to actually work. So if I just open up the open button here, we're going to add a local script into this. And all we'll do, first of all, let's get the buttons. So local btn or button equals script.parent. And I'll get the background as well. Local background equals button.parent. So our button's this open button. The parent is the quest GUI. And we can just say dot background. Then button.mouse button one click connect function. So this means that when the button's left clicked, we'll call this function. And we'll just change the background.visibility or background.visible and we'll set that to true. And now what I'll do is copy all of this code, close the local script, and inside of background, add a local script to our close button, and I'll paste it into here, just changing the background from button.parent.background just to button.parent. So the button is this close button, the parent is the background. And then we can just say button.mouse button one click connect function background.visible equals false. There we go. Now let's just quickly test that. So let's hit test. So it's open, we can close it, open it, and close it. Perfect. Okay, now we need to make a module script which will hold all of our quests. So inside replicated storage, I'm going to add in a module script and I'll rename this to quest module. I'll change this from local module to local quests and then we'll return quests. And inside of this table, and this is how I'm going to format it. So we'll have the index of the quest, then the title, then the description, then the currency, then the max, then the reward currency. So this will be the currency we get rewarded in, and then the reward. Don't worry if this doesn't make too much sense to you right now, I'll explain it as we do it. So for the first quest, this will be index 1. So we'll put 1 in square brackets like this. And we'll set this equal to a new table. So what's next? So index is done. Well, next is the title. So in square brackets again, title equals, and this will be the name of one of our quests. I'll call this collect 100 cash. So this will be the name that actually appears on the quest. So just here where it says title of quest, this will be collect 100 cash. Now we'll make the next bit, which will be the description. And the description is this bit here, the description of the quest. So I'll set this to rewards 50 gems. I'll just make the description say what we're going to reward. Now you'll see we have this red squiggly line here. This is going to tell us that it expects a comma after the previous element in the table. So we just need to put a comma after this first line each time we add something new. And because we need to add, next is the currency. So let's put a comma, drop down. We'll say currency equals, and this will be cash. Now I'll get onto the currencies in a minute, but this will be the currency that we're looking to achieve. So for example, we're collecting 100 cash. So the currency we want to keep an eye on is cash. If it says collect 100 gems, the currency we would want to keep an eye on is gems. So just change this to the stat that you want to keep an eye on. I'll actually make these stats in just a second, but for now we'll get the module script out the way and then we'll get on with the leader stats. Here I'll say max, and this will be 100. So this is the amount that we want to achieve. This is our desired amount. Collect 100 cash, so our max is 100. Also, if your currency, if you're rewarding, what you're going to reward or what you're looking for isn't cash, for example, you will need to, and maybe it's an object, maybe collect 5 pets. You'll need to create a value to track how many pets have been collected. But this will just show you the basics, and then you can go from here. Next, we want the reward currency, and this will be the currency we get rewarded in. So we get rewarded 50 gems, so the currency will be gems, and the reward will be 50. Now notice how I've got a comma after each of these, apart from the last line. Each time you add a new element, you want a comma after the previous element. Not on the last one though. Now I'll add a comma, drop down, and I'm going to make a few of these quests, and I'll get back to you once I've done that. Here we are, so I've made 6 quests here. So we've got the collect 100 cash, collect 500 cash, jump 10 times. So this will be an example where I'll show you a custom sort of stat, which isn't currency, but we're tracking an event. So this one rules 50 gems, and then we've got jump 25 times, play for 1 minute, and play for 2 minutes here. And on the last, notice how I've got a comma between each index here. Again, just making sure I've got commas apart from on the last one. Now I can close this quest module, and inside of server script service, let me add a script which I'll rename to Leaderstats, or I'll just call it leaderboard. This will be our little Leaderstats script. And in here, we will basically make all the values that we are going to track. So let's start by getting the players service. So players equals game : get service players. And now let's call a function each time the player joins the game. Players.player added : connect function passing in the player that joins. And let's create Leaderstats. Local Leaderstats equals instance.new folder player. Leaderstats.name equals Leaderstats. It must be spelled all lowercase like this. And now let's create the 2 values, cash and gems. Because in my quest module, cash will be one of the things I want displayed on the leaderboard, and so will gems. Now make sure that when we name these, they need to be named exactly how we've spelt them in the quest module. Uppercase C, uppercase G. If not, it will not work. Same with all of these currencies. They must all be spelt the exact same as they're going to be spelt in here. So local cash equals instance.new int value inside of the Leaderstats. Cash.name equals cash, and then cash.value by default will be 0. Now I'll do the same for gems. I'll just copy this, make this one gems, copy that over, just rename that to gems, and that is perfect. So these are our main sort of stats on the leaderboard. If you want more detail, if you want more in-depth explanation on what is exactly going on here, please check out my video on Leaderstats. I'll leave it linked in the description. If we now hit test and play, you see that on the top right we have cash and gems on our little leaderboard here. Now let's create our other quest values. So these quest values will be the things that we're tracking that aren't on the leaderboard, such as jumps and time played. So I'll put these in a quest folder inside of the player. I'll call it quest values. So local quest values equals instance.new folder inside of the player. And then I'll call this, I'll just name it quest values. So quest values.name equals quest values. So now let's figure out what exactly we're tracking. So we're tracking the cash, we're tracking the jumps, and we're tracking the time. So because we want to track the cash that the players collected since they started the quest and not the cash that they actually have, we need to make a new cash variable. So let's say the player has 200 cash. Then let's say they get a new quest which says collect 100 cash. Well, if we're tracking their original cash, they're going to have 200 and they would have completed the quest. But the actual amount of cash that they've gained since they got the quest is 0. So we want to track that cash, not the original cash. So let's make a new variable for that. So I'll name it local, I'll call it cash quest equals instance.new int value inside of the quest values folder, and cash quest.name I'll set to cash. And because these values are 0 up here, I can just get rid of them as well, because they are defaulted to 0 anyway. Now we can name this cash, even though this one's called cash as well, because they're in 2 separate folders. This one's in the leader stats, and this one's in the quest values. Now we want to track the jumps as well. So local jumps equals instance.new. This will be an int value inside of quest values. Jumps.name equals jumps. And then one more, which will be time. Local underscore time equals instance.new. This one will be an int value as well. Inside of quest values, and underscore time.name will just be time. The reason I'm doing underscore is because if I do time here, you'll see that time's already a keyword inside of Lua U. So I can just put an underscore there to rename the variable because we can't really use it when it's already used for something else. There we go. So that's it for now. We will be coming back to this script later, but for now I will close it. Okay, now inside our quests folder in the quest GUI, let's add a local script and I'll rename this to quest handler. And this is where we'll actually handle most of our quest functionality. So let's start by getting all the quest templates. So what I mean by that is where we've got in our quest area, quest A, B, and C, we want to get all of these into one variable, into a table, and sort them alphabetically. Now we could just make 3 separate variables, one for quest A, one for B, and one for C, but it's a bit unoptimized. I want to make this as optimized and clean as I can, so we'll put it into a table. So first of all, let's get the quest objects. So local quest folder, which will be our quests folder just here, equals script.parent. And the quest area, so local quest area equals quest folder dot quest area. Now let's get the quest templates. So local quest templates equals quest area colon get children. And this will get all 3 of these. Okay, and now let's create a function which will randomize our quests. So we'll pick 3 random indexes from our quest module here. And so it's 3 random quests. And then we'll store them into a table to keep track of what quests have been chosen. So first, let's add a couple new variables. So right at the top, we want to get some services. First, we'll just get the replicated storage. So local replicated storage equals game colon get service replicated storage. And that's the only service we'll get for now. And now below our quest templates, we'll get the chosen quests. So the quests that have been chosen. So local chosen quests equals a new empty table. And below here, we'll actually get the module. So local quests, and when we get a module, we have to use the require keyword, equals require, replicated storage, colon wait for child, quest module. Now let's create a function to actually randomize these quests. Function randomise quests. And in here, we need to pick 3 random indexes from the quests table. So while the number of chosen quests, so hashtag chosen quests for the number of, is less than 3, do. So while we haven't chosen 3 quests, we want to get an index. So local index equals math.random between 1 and the number of quests. If table.find chosen quests from our quests in square brackets the index, then we'll just continue. Else, we'll say table.insert chosen quests from our quests in square brackets the index. So what exactly is this doing? Well, we are getting a random index, so a random number between 1 and the number of quests. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quests. So this gets a random number between 1 and 6. This will be our index here. So let's say it chooses 4. It's going to select the jump 25 times quest. We'll then check if that quest has already been chosen. If it has already been chosen, we'll just skip over it. Continue just means skip this iteration and move on to the next one. So we'll skip over this iteration of this while loop and move to the next one. So in other words, we're going to find a new index until we don't find one that's already been chosen. If it's not already been chosen, then we'll choose it and we'll add it to the chosen quests table. Now we need to make a function which will set all the texts to the chosen quests. So we'll set all of these UI elements to our chosen quests. So to do this, let's add a new function below this one, which I'll name setElements. Okay, so in this function, we need to loop through each template. So to do that, we'll say for I, template in I pairs, quest templates, do. So first we'll set the text. So we'll say template.title.text. Make sure you spell this .title exactly how it's spelled in the template. So let's go to quest A. Title, you want it to be spelled exactly like this, or it will not work. And this text will be set to chosen quests I title. Now let's copy this, paste it down here, and this one will be .description.text, and this will be equal to chosen quests I description. So I is the index that we are looping through. So if we're looking at the first quest template, we're going to get the first chosen quest title and the first chosen quest description. If we're looking at the second, this is the second title and description. If we're looking at the third, it'll be the third title and description. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this setElements function after we've randomized the quests. Because once we've chosen all three of our quests, then we want to set the elements. So then we'll call the setElements inside this randomized quests after the while loop. Now let's just test this. So underneath setElements, I'll just call randomized quests. Hit test and play. And we've got 3 random quests here. So our title, our description, our title and description. And no matter how many times we do this, we'll get 3 different ones and they'll never be the same quest. So I'll just do this one more time just to show you that they're all different. 2 minutes, 500 cash and 100 cash. Perfect. So you can sort of see how it's starting to come together. Okay, now we need to make the progress bars work. So let's open up the quest GUI, the background, and the quests folder. Open up the quest area, find quest A. We'll just start with quest A. Open up the progress bar folder. And in here, we need to add in a couple of values. We're going to add in an int value, which will be our current value. Now I'll duplicate this and rename this to max value. And this will be our current value and our max value. I'll also add in a local script into here. I'll rename this local script to progress bar. Now I do give credit to Pineapple Dev on YouTube for this script and this progress bar. I actually got all this code from their tutorial. I've just adjusted it a little bit to fit in with this system. Because we are just making a quest system here, I don't want to spend too much time on the progress bar. So I'm going to quickly speed through this. If you want an explanation on how this works, please check their video out. I will link it in the description. So let's get the actual progress. So local progress is script.parent.background.progress. And we'll get the text as well, which is script.parent.background.text label. We'll get the current num. Local current num is script.parent.current value, and the max num, so local max num, which is script.parent.max value. Now we'll also get the smoothness of the bar. Local bar smooth equals 5. The lower the number, the smoother it will be. But 5 works pretty well. Now we'll do while true do. So constantly we're going to, first of all, we want to get the time between each frame. So to get the time between each frame, we'll do local bt equals time. Task.wait, and then local dt equals time minus bt. So dt stands for delta time, so this is the change in time. This is the time between each frame here. Now we'll check if the current value, if the current num.value is greater than the max num.value, then we'll set the current num value to the max num value. Because we never want this to say 105 out of 100. We just want to cap it at 100 out of 100, which is what that will do. Now let's get our target size. Local target size equals udim2.new current num.value divided by max num.value, 0, 1, 0. So that's sort of the size, the target size of our progress bar. We'll then say progress.size equals progress dot size colon lerp target size comma bar smooth times delta time, or dt. Now we need to update the progress bar text, so this little text here. Well, first of all, if one of the quests is play for 2 minutes, for example, if it's a time, we don't want to display this as 93 out of 120. Instead we want to display it as 1 minute 33 out of 2 minutes. So let's format that. So let's get a title. So underneath our text here, we'll say local title equals script.parent.parent.title.text. And then here we can say if title :match minute, because in each of our quest modules, the title, it has the word minute or minutes in if it's a time. So we can tell if it's a minute just by the title if it contains the word minute. Text.text equals, and we need to format the string. So string.format, and we need to format it in minutes, seconds. So %02i : %02i, comma current num dot value divided by 60, comma current num dot value mod or %60 dot dot / dot dot string dot format. I'll just copy this again up here. I'll put the closing bracket there as well. And in this one, rather than current num, this will be max num. There we go, just like this. Now, as a brief explanation, %02i :02i means we're going to have two numbers here. So we're going to have a number : number, and the 02 means two places, two digits to that number. Now we'll say else text.text. So if it's just a normal quest, no times, we'll just say current num dot value dot dot / dot dot max num dot value. And now if we hit test and play, we don't actually set the max num, but you can see it says 0 out of 0 on the first quest. Now we'll select the current value, the max value, and the progress bar, duplicate it, and drag it all into quest B's progress bar. And do the same again, duplicate it and drag it into quest C's progress bar. Now back in our quest handler script, when we set the elements, we now need to set the max values. So we can say template.progressbar.maxValue.value. Make sure progress bar is spelled exactly how the folder is here. .maxValue is spelled exactly how max value is. .value equals chosen quests I max. And now when we hit test and play, all three of these work. Jump 25 times, we've got 0 out of 25. Collect 500 cash, 0 out of 500. And jump 10 times, 0 out of 10. Now you notice when I played just then, everything goes to the center. So to fix this, we need to go into the progress bar, into the background, find the actual progress, and we need to change the actual progress to have no anchor point. We will just have to reposition it. We just change the position to 0, 0, 0, 0. And this is actually a mistake I made earlier. I should have completely left it, but I did forget. The reason we don't want an anchor point is because otherwise it does that, it goes to the middle. So just change all the positions to 0, 0, 0, 0 and remove the progress bar. If you've got a problem where the text label is underneath the progress bar now, just go to the text label and change the Z index to 2. Same for quest C, so 0, 0 on the anchor point and then 0, 0, 0, 0 on the position. Perfect. Now let's hit test and play, and it does it properly. Okay, now let's create a new function underneath the set elements here. So function, and I'll name this set current values. And we'll use this to set all the current values. So let's loop through each template. For I, template in I pairs, quest templates, do if chosen quest I, and we want the currency. If that's equal to cash, then we'll set template.progressbar. Again, spelled exactly how it is in the Explorer. .current value .value equals player.quest values .cache.value. Else if, and now I'll copy this again. But this time, if currency is equal to jumps, then we'll copy this, paste it in, and change this to player.questvalues.jumps.value. And now one more else if here. Same thing, if chosen quest's currency is equal to time, then we'll change the progress bar current value to player.questvalues.time.value. Now we've got a red squiggly line on the player. So right at the top, let's get our player service. Local players equals game : get service players. And then we can just say local player equals players dot local player. Perfect. So this will set our current values. And now we need to update our current values all the time. So I'm just going to do this every second because we don't need to update it loads. We can just say while task.wait1 do set current values. Okay, now we want to actually increase these quest values when we do the quest. So I'm going to close the progress bar script and the quest module and the quest handler. I'll close it all. Inside of starter player, add a local script to starter character scripts. And in here, let's get the player service, local players equals game:get service players. And the replicated storage as well, local replicated storage equals game:get service replicated storage. I'm also going to rename the local script to quest values. Drop down local player equals players dot local player. Local quest remotes equals replicated storage wait for child quest remotes. Now I'm going to go into replicated storage, add a folder, and rename it to quest remotes. And it needs to be spelled exactly how you spelt it here. That's where we'll store all our remote events, which I'll get onto in a minute. Local leaderstats equals player wait for child leaderstats. And local old cache amount equals leaderstats dot cache dot value. Now let's increase the cache earned. So leaderstats dot cache dot changed connect function passing in the new amount. Quest remotes dot cache. So add in a new remote event into quest remotes, which I've already done. So let me do that again. Add a remote event into quest remotes. Rename it to cache fire server passing in the new amount minus the old cache amount. So the new amount will be whatever our leader stat now is, and the old amount is whatever it was before. So let's say we had 400 cash, we collect 100, so new amount is now 500. So we're increasing our cash for the quest by new amount minus the old cash amount, which is 100. And then we can say old cash amount equals new amount. Now let's increase jumps. So I can say player.character.humanoid jumping connect function is jumping. So this is automatically called whenever the player jumps, and is jumping will be true or false. So if is jumping, if is jumping is true, then we'll say quest remotes, add a new remote event into the quest remotes, rename it to jump. Like I say, quest remotes.jump fire server. And that's it for this script. We can now close that. Now in server script service, we want to add a script, rename this to quest values, and this is where we'll handle the server side. So we'll get the replicated storage. Replicated storage is game:get service replicated storage, and we'll get the players as well. So players equals game:get service players. We'll get the quest remotes folder as well. Quest remotes equals replicated storage wait for child quest remotes. Now let's increase the cache earned. So quest remotes.cache.onServer event connect function. We pass in the player automatically, and we're also taking the amount. Player.questValues.cache.value plus equals amount. I know I'm sort of rushing through this now. I know time is really ticking on. But basically the amount is the value that we're passing in here. So this is the amount, and the player's automatically passed in. So this is just increasing the quest cache value by this amount. Now we will increase jumps. So to do that, we'll say quest remotes.jump.onServer event connect function passing in the player. Player.questValues.jumps.value plus equals 1. Now we can say while task.wait1 do for I, player in pairs players get players do local quest values equals player find first child quest values. If quest values, then local underscore time equals quest values find first child time. Now we want to increase the time played each second, so we'll say if underscore time, then underscore time dot value plus equals 1. Now if we hit test and play, you can see that when I'm jumping, the value is actually increasing. I don't have a way to collect cash right now, but let me show you what happens if we get playtime. Here we go. So 2 out of 60. So it's not actually formatting our text into minutes and hours, and minutes and seconds, sorry. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so to fix this, in each of our progress bars, we'll need to remove the title from the top and actually paste it just below the if statement, because we want to update this every time this while loop runs, just because otherwise the text doesn't update straight away, so it will get the previous text. So let's do that in each of the progress bar scripts. So there's the first one, the second one. So I'm just going to cut this title and paste it above the if statement. And the final one, same thing, cut the title, paste it above the if statement. Now this should work, so I can close that. If I now hit test and play. So here we go, 1 second, 2 second out of 2 minutes. So that one's working. I'm just going to very quickly add a way to, let me go to starter GUI and disable show development GUI. I'm going to very quickly add a way to collect points. I'll get back to you once I've done that. Here we go, so I've just made a folder named points. It's got 6 points in here. Here's the script for each point, if you want it. So I'll just remove that bit, don't need that. So it will just, when the player touches the point, it will just increase the cash value by 100. So it gives me 100 cash each time I touch a point. So now I can play and actually test the quest values here. So 100 cash, I collect that, and I can get 100 cash. So we know now the progress bars are completely working. Let me re-enable show development GUI. Okay, now let's make the claim buttons work. So we only want the claim buttons to be visible if you can claim the quest. So let's add a new function below our set current values. And I'll name this can claim. And in here we're going to loop through each template. So for I, template in I pairs quest templates do. Check if the current values are equal to the max value. So if template dot progress bar dot current value dot value is greater than or equal to template dot progress bar dot max value dot value, then we will set the claim button to visible, because we want to be able to see the claim button and click it if our current value is greater than the max value. So template dot claim button dot visible equals true. Else template dot claim button dot visible equals false. Now right at the top underneath our quests here, let's get the claim buttons. So local quest claims equals a new table with quest area dot quest a dot claim button, and we've got quest area dot quest. I'll just copy that actually, paste it in again and again. So we've got quest B and quest C. So these are all in a table. Now we can say quest claims 1 dot mouse button 1 click connect function. So when the first quest claim button, quest A button is clicked, now we need to go back up to the top and get our quest remotes. So under the player here, I'll say local quest remotes equals replicated storage wait for child quest remotes. Now we need to add a new remote event into quest remotes, and I'll rename this to reward. And we'll say quest remotes dot reward fire server, passing in the reward currency, so quests 1 reward currency, comma quests 1, and we want the reward. And we can also say quest templates 1 dot visible equals false, because we don't want it to be visible anymore now that we've been rewarded. And we can say quest remotes dot claim fire server, passing in 1. So again, add another remote event into quest remotes and just rename it to claim. Now I'll copy all of this code, drop down and paste it in twice. So we've got quest claims 2 and 3, just replacing all the 1s with 2s for the second one and all the 1s with 3s for the third one. Pretty easy. Now what we'll say is we'll just call can claim in the while wait one do. Now let's go and get all of our claim buttons, and so select all 3 and change the visible to false so we can't see them. Now if we hit test and play, when we actually complete, so let me jump 10 times, the claim button should appear. There we go, it does. Let me do the same for the 500 cash. That's 200. 300. 400 and one more. There we go, so the claim button appears there as well. If we click this, it won't actually reward us, but the little template here should disappear. There we go, so it says complete and complete. Perfect. So you can see it's coming along well now. Now inside of our quest value script here, we need to actually reward the player now. So underneath our little jump remote event here, I'll say quest remotes dot reward dot on server event :connect function the player, passing in the currency and the reward. If you remember correctly, we've got the currency and the reward, and the player's passed in automatically. We'll say if the currency is equal to gems, then we want to increase gems. So local Leaderstats equals player :wait for child Leaderstats. Local gems equals Leaderstats :wait for child gems. And then I'll just say gems.value plus equals reward. And if you have a different currency, so obviously my reward currency is gems, but if you have a different sort of currency, you can use an if statement or an else if to find what reward currency you're using and then increase that. But this is just an example to give you a rough idea. Now I am going to come back to the claim remote event. The reason I've done it is because we're going to use it to save the quests shortly. Once we've actually got everything else out the way, we'll start saving the quests. In fact, that's what we'll do now. Let's just piece it all together now. So there's 2 more parts to this. So we need to reset the quests after the 24 hours is done here, and we need to save and load them. Let's just do it all in one and get it out the way. So into our quest handler, we've got some code to add, and I'll finish the script up now. So it's going to be a bit long, but we'll get through it. So before we start scripting, we've got some remote events to add. So we've got cash, jump, claim, and reward. I'm going to add another remote event and rename it to load quests. I'll add another remote event and rename it to reset. I'll add another remote event and rename it to save quests. Now, just below our quest claims table here, I'm going to add a local resetting equals false. So this will be true when we are resetting the quest, and it acts as like a little debounce to stop us claiming quests while they're being reset. But we'll get onto that in a minute. Okay, so let's save the quests. So to save the quests, in our randomise quests function, we'll say quest remotes dot save quests :fire server, passing in table.find quests chosen quest 1, comma, and we're going to do this for chosen quests 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Just like this. So we're basically passing in the first quest, the second quest, and the third quest that is active. Now, when we call set elements here, I'm going to pass in false. And in our set elements function, we're going to add an isLoading parameter. So basically, this means if the data's being loaded in, we don't want to make them visible until the data's loaded. So by default, when we loop through each template, we'll say template.visible equals false, just so the player can't see the quests until they've loaded in. And now after we've set our max values, we'll say if isLoading is false, then template.visible is true, because this means that the template has loaded in now, the quest has loaded in, and all the values have been updated, so now the player can see the template. Otherwise, we will only show if it's not been claimed. We don't want to show the quest if we're loading the quest, we don't want to show it if we've claimed it already. So we'll say local quest values equals player, :wait for child, quest values. Now, in our leader stats and our leaderboard here, we need to add some code to track a few values. So we'll add a local next quest equals instance.new int value inside of the quest values folder. Next quest.name will be equal to next quests. And we'll also get a local chosen quests. This will be equal to a new table of instance.new int value inside of quest values, comma, exact same thing again, another int value, comma, and then another int value. So this will create 3 int values inside of the quest values folder. Now we can say chosen quests 1 dot name equals quest 1, and these will basically be used to save our chosen quests. So I duplicate this code 3 times here. So we've got chosen quests 1, 2, and 3 equals quest 1, 2, and 3. And we'll also add a local quests claimed equals new table instance.new bool value inside of quest values. And I'll copy this. There we go, paste it in 3 times. So now we've got 3 bool values inside the quest values folder. And I can just say quests claimed 1 dot name equals quest 1 claimed. Copy this code, paste it in another 2 times, and we would make this 2 and 3. Now I know I'm really rushing through this, and this video is very long, so that is sort of why I'm rushing through this. If at any point you want a more in-depth explanation of anything, let me know in the comments and I will happily explain it. And I'll maybe make another video going more in detail if need be. Now we can close the leaderboard script, we're not going to need it anymore. And back inside our quest handler, after we get the quest values, let's get local value to find equals quest values colon find first child quest dot dot toString I dot dot claimed. So this will get our quest 1 claimed, quest 2 claimed, or quest 3 claimed value. And then we can say if value to find, then if value to find dot value is false, then we'll set template dot visible to true. So if this value is true, it means we've claimed it. If the value is false, it means we haven't claimed it. If we've claimed it, we don't want it to be visible. And then after this, just before this last end, we'll say resetting equals false. I'm now going to get rid of this random quests function call here. Now let's add a function which will update the next quest time. So this next quests in, new quests in, we want to update this time. So update next quests time. So local quest values equals player colon find first child quest values. If quest values then local quest timer equals quest values colon find first child next quests. That's what if I go to the leaderboard, this next quests here, this is the time until the new quests come in. If quest timer, then if quest timer dot value is less than or equal to 0, then resetting equals true, because if the value is less than 0, we're going to reset and give us some new quests. And we'll say quest claims 1 dot visible equals false, and we'll do this for each quest claim. 2 and 3, we want to hide all the claim buttons if they're visible, just to stop the player claiming them while new ones are being added. Otherwise they can accidentally claim the new quests which are spawning in. We'll reset the chosen quests to a new empty table. We'll call our randomise quests function to get 3 new quests, and we'll say quest remotes dot reset colon file server, and we'll get onto that in a minute. Now we'll drop down and add an else to this if statement, and we'll say quest folder dot new quests text dot text equals new quests in dot dot string dot format %02i colon %02i colon %02i, so hours, minutes, seconds, comma, quest timer dot value divided by 3600, comma, quest timer dot value divided by 60 mod or %60, comma, quest timer dot value mod or %60. Now this is basically the formula to get hours, minutes, seconds. I'm not going to go too in depth with it. You can do some research, you can use some maths to figure it out. Divide, we're going to divide it by 3,600 to get the hours. This for minutes, this for seconds. Again, if you want more explanation, just let me know in the comments. Now, last little bit of code, we'll say quest remotes dot load quests dot on client event colon connect function, and in here get local quest values equals player colon wait for child quest values chosen quests equals an empty table with quests and an in square bracket quest values colon find first child quest 1 dot value comma copy this, paste it in, and one more time, and this will be quest 2 and quest 3. And then right at the end, we'll call set elements, passing in true. And this will just load the quests. So when we load the quests with the data store, which we'll make in a minute, we'll set the chosen quests to our loaded quest values, and then set the elements to the loaded chosen quests. Now in our task .wait 1, let's just make some changes. So I'll say if number of chosen quests is equal to 3, then because we want 3 quests at a time, then only when we have 3 quests, we want to set the current values. If resetting is false, then you can say can claim. Then after the if statement, we'll say update next quests time. And now we can close the quest handler script and open up our quest value script. And after this reward remote event, we'll say quest remotes dot reset dot on server event colon connect function passing in the player. We'll get the local quest values equals player colon wait for child quest values. Then we'll say quest values colon wait for child hash dot value is 0. Copy this, and we're going to have one for cache, time, jumps, and next quests. So cache, time, jumps, and next quests. So we want to reset all these values back to default. So cache, time, and jumps will set back to 0. And when we are resetting our quests, we want the next quest value. So the next quest will be in 24 hours, which will be 86,400 seconds. And we also want to say quest values colon wait for child quest 1 claimed dot value equals false, because we want to reset the quest 1, so we've not claimed it, and do the same for quest 2 and 3. So we've not claimed quest 1, 2, or 3. Now let's do our save quests. So quest remotes dot save quests dot on server event colon connect function passing in the player index 1, index 2, and index 3. And that is why if we go back into the quest handler script, when we call the saved quests, we've got this here. So in here, we'll say local quest values. I'm just going to copy it from up here. It's the same code. Local quest value is player colon wait for child quest values. And then we'll say quest values colon wait for child quest 1 dot value equals index 1. Copy this. Paste it in another 2 times. Quest 2 will be equal to index 2, and quest 3 will be equal to index 3. Now we'll add the claim remote event. So quest remotes dot claim dot on server event colon connect function passing in the player and the number, or I'll just use num for short. Local quest values, just going to copy that again. It's the exact same thing. Local value to find equals quest values colon find first child quest dot dot to string passing in the num dot dot claimed, just like so. And then if the value to find is true, or isn't nil, sorry, then value to find dot value equals true. So this is just setting the actual value inside the player, the claimed value, to true when they claim it. Now let's get our quest timer. Before we get our underscore time in the while wait 1 do, we'll get local quest timer equals quest values colon find first child next quests. And we can say, before we increase the time played each second, we want to decrease the time until the next quests. So if quest timer, then quest timer dot value minus equals 1. And that is the quest value script done. Now we are really nearly there. We need to go to File, Game Settings, Security, and enable Studio access to API services. Hit Save. This is so we can make the data store. So now in Server Script Service, add a new script, rename it to Data Store. And I am going to fly through this script because I've done a video on data stores before. So if you want an explanation, please check it out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. But I'm just going to get through this one fairly quickly because the video is very long and I am aware of that. So local player service equals game:get service players. Local data store service equals game:get service data store service. And local replicated storage equals game:get service replicated storage. Local data store equals data store service :get data store. I'm going to call it test data store. Call it whatever you want. If you change the name of this, it will be a new data store. Please check out my data store video for more information on that. Local quest remotes equals replicated storage :wait for child quest remotes. Local default data equals an empty table. Well, it won't be an empty table actually. We'll add cache equals 0, gems equals 0, and then we want to set the default quest data. So we'll say quest cache equals 0, jumps equals 0, time equals 0. That should be a semicolon. And next quests equals 0. Now we want to deal with our saved quests. So quest 1 equals -1, quest 2 equals -1, and quest 3 equals -1. Quest 1 claimed equals false. Quest 2 claimed equals false. And quest 3 claimed equals false. So what this does is basically gets all the default data. So this is the original values. So cache and gems will be 0 and 0. Then we've got the default quest data. So our quest cache is 0, our jumps is 0, and time 0, and the time till the next quest by default is 0. Then we're going to set the saved quests just to -1 to show that there are no saved quests. -1's just a preference, but it just shows that there's no quests yet, because these will store the index of the saved quests. And then quests 1, 2, and 3 claimed are all false. Now we're going to get a deepCopy function, which I'm going to paste in. I will leave this code in the description. I'll also leave a documentation to it. But this is provided on the Roblox documentation. So you can copy it from there. I'll leave it in the description, but it basically just loops through a table. It loops through tables of tables, and it just returns a copy of the table. Anyway, again, watch my data store video if you want a better explanation on it. Now let's get local functions save data, passing in the player. So local success, comma, error message, equals pcall, function, local data to save, equals a new table. And here's where we want to get all the corresponding data for these values. So I started with the cache, so player.leaderstats.cache.value. I'm going to copy this, paste it in, and rather than cache, we'll have gems.value. Drop down, and we've got the quest data now. Player.questValues.cache.value. Copy this, and paste it in 4 times. We've got cache, then time. These need to correspond to in the order of this, by the way. So I've got cache, then jumps, then time, then next quests. Now this will be quests, so we've got quest values.quest1.value. Do this another 2 times, so quest 2 and quest 3 value. And then we've got quest 1 claimed.value and quest 2 and 3 claimed.value. Don't worry if you're really confused. I am trying to speed through this because of the length of the video. Again, if you want an explanation, maybe slow down the video, rewatch parts of it that you're not understanding. But if you do want an explanation, let me know in the comments and I will make another video going into more detail. Then after this table, we'll say data store, set async, player.userid, comma data to save. And then after this, we'll say if error message then, and then we'll just print the error message or say error message. Display the error message as an error. Now when the player is added, we want to load all the data. So we can say player service.player added connect function passing in the player that joins. We'll say local quest values equals player wait for child quest values. Local success, comma, error message equals pcall function. And in this function, we'll get the local data equals data store, get async, player.userid. And if data is nil, so if there is no data, then we'll set data to deepCopy, passing in the default data. And then we'll say data store, set async, player.userid, and our default data. So if there is no data, we want to save the default data. Next, we'll say local Leaderstats equals player, wait for child, Leaderstats. And then we'll say Leaderstats.cache.value equals data1 or data cache. Now there's a few very important things to note here. This needs to be in the exact order of this. So we'll go cache, then gems, then cache, jumps, time, next quest, all of that. It has to be in the same order. The or data cache, this word here needs to be spelled the exact same as it is in default data. Capitalization, perfect. If this is a lowercase c, this has to be a lowercase c. I cannot emphasize that enough or it will not work. Next we'll go for .gems.value equals data2 or data gems. Next is quest cache. Now you notice my quest cache has a lowercase q. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say quest values dot cache dot value equals data3 or quest cache with a lowercase q. Now I'll quickly do all of these and get back to you once I've done them. Here we go. So I've got cache gems, cache jumps, time, blah, 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 blah. And I've done it all perfect. So it matches up with this. And these strings in here are spelt the exact same as they are in here. So if you want to pause for a minute just to copy that, you can. But I just thought I'd save time by quickly doing that. Now we'll say if error message, then error message. And at the bottom of this, we'll say if quest values dot quest1 dot value is not equal to nil, to -1, sorry, and now I'll copy this, paste it in 2 times, and this will be quest2 and quest3. Then, so if quest 1, 2, and 3 are not equal to -1, so they all exist, then we'll say quest remotes dot load quests fire client passing in the player. So this will load all the quests. And just add the little end in there. Now we'll say player service dot player removing connect function passing in the player, and we'll say save data passing in the player. It looks like I spelt my save data function wrong, which I have. You fix that. And now when we'll say game bind to close function, and in this function we'll loop for each player for underscore player in pairs, player service get players, do player kick, and this will kick each player out the game if the server shuts down, which will save their data. Perfect, so that's the data store script done. Now I believe this is everything. I actually think we're done now. So I'm going to click on my background and make it invisible. Now if I hit tests and play, I haven't got any errors, so that's a good start. If I click quests, the quest timer is decreasing. I've got 3 random quests. Let me collect 100 cash. So the progress bar hasn't increased, so that's interesting. Let me fix that quickly. Alright, to fix this, what I'm going to do is change the Z index for all the progress bars to 2. And then I'll change the text label to 3. Because it seems to be not displaying, it seems to be displaying in itself for some reason. Now if I hit test and play, there we go. So it has saved as well. So if I now hit claim, I get rewarded my 100 gems. This says complete. Now let me stop. I also want to hide the background again. And now that we've loaded it in, this one's complete again. And the same quests are still there. Now if I hit this little computer symbol where it says client, I'll go into players and I'll change quest values to, inside next quests, I'll change this to 8 or something. You've got to be very quick with it. But now, if I click the computer again, we're back in the game. 3, 2, 1, new quests. Here we go, load some new ones. They're in, and we've got 3 new quests. And it works. And these quests will be different for everyone. So let me show you that quickly. Where it says test, if I click server and clients, change this to 2, and hit play. Here we are, so they're side by side. So they both have 3 different quests, and they both run independently of each other. So if I jump, for example, on this one, me jumping on this one isn't affecting this one. So the only problem we've got is with our progress bars when they're not increasing. Okay, so what I found, so the progress bar is not showing. It seems to be happening very rarely, but it seems to be a problem with Roblox Studio. So even because I've changed my index, it's nothing wrong with what I've done. It should work for you, but I have a bit of bugged GUI. I'm not too sure where it went wrong, but I know my Roblox Studio, I need to update it. I am due a little update. It's just a bug with Roblox Studio, apparently. The only way to fix it is to delete that bit of GUI and remake it, but I'm not going to worry about that. It shouldn't be a problem for you. If it is, let me know and I'll look more into it. But from what I've done some research on, it's just a bug with my Roblox Studio version. So other than that, that is it. You now have a fully working quest system. Very exciting stuff. I do apologise, this video was incredibly long, and I was sort of rushing it towards the end, just because of how long it was getting, and I know this was quite complicated. If anyone wants an explanation of anything, let me know in the comments, and I will go over it. Other than that, hopefully you found this helpful. It's very complicated. If you have any problems, you need to make sure your capitalization is perfect. Before you comment to say that it didn't work, please make sure that all your variables are spelt exactly the same as mine. Everything in your Explorer is spelt the exact same. It all needs to be spelt the exact same as it is in your code, or it will not work. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.